Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Dusty and Huss back with you inside The Lock Shop. Thank you very much for being here once again. Huss, how you doing, buddy? That was a late one last night, wasn't it?
Putting the pieces together right now, Dusty. That was heartbreaking. I mean, I basically feel like the Carolina Hurricanes do right now. To think that for our plus 600 exclusive, we got the Burns and Aho point right off the bat. The under was a lock. We just needed Carolina to get the job done, and freaking Kachuk.
Of all people. Kachuk gets the job done. But what a performance, man. Bobrovsky and Anderson at overtime were freaking automatic. That was insane.
Dude, sometimes these 4 overtime games actually really suck.
Yeah.
Like they get to a point where, there's nothing happening. That wasn't the case in this one. I mean, there were some great chances on both sides. As you mentioned, both goalies were unreal. And it was going to take a special play from a special player to get it done. And Matt Kachuk did it. I'll tell you what, this is going to be a hell of a series. I'm really excited to see what happens from the rest of the way, considering the way things started. And I have no doubt that Rod the Bod will put this one in the rear view and be able to get back at it. But, and by the way, some absolutely classic Maurice moments on the bench. I mean, you could put together a montage just of last night's Maurice moments that would be right up there with the best freakouts of any coach all season long. It was it was a hell of a way to get going, but it was a real heartbreaker for the Lock Shop. Although the Canes did score with 10 seconds left in the first period to get your first period money line in, so all was not lost last night.
That was a nice one. That one was nice. I had the NBA one last night, and KCP Reeves threes. I mean, those things are automatic. Hit the Lakers plus 5.5 on that one. It was actually Jokic and LeBron by a point or two each that screwed me. Like that was weird to see it go down that way. That game was interesting, man. That game last night, like very low scoring game. Like as a Lakers guy, I'm sitting here going, man, like AD played like hot shit. LeBron looked old for maybe the first time ever. And Jamal Murray needed to go on an absolute all-time fourth quarter heater. And the Nuggets only won by 5. So I'm like, I don't know what this series is when it goes back to LA. Like, I just don't know. I don't know what to expect. So, but it's interesting. The Lakers are actually 5.5 point favorites in game 3 at home, which is the exact same number that the Nuggets were in game 2. So I don't know.
As I said, I expect this to get back to Denver at 2-2. I think the Lakers will find a way. Home court seems to be so impactful right now. And listen, that was a real missed opportunity for
yes, it was
for LA. I mean, they had the halftime lead. They were up considerably in the third quarter, and credit to the Nuggets for coming back. Should be an interesting one for game 3. And tell you what, I'm sort of looking forward. Well, I mean, the 2 games we've got tonight are both really interesting.
Go.
Game
yes,
2
they
between
are.
the Heat and the Celtics. And of course, it looks like we're on the
same page here, buddy.
May have to pop these ones together, Dusty. Maybe we do a three sporter with the Jays.
Jays Orioles. That's right. Is that's not an afternoon game, is it? Let's find out. Let's take a double look at this here. I don't mind that idea. That's a good idea. Pop that in. I'll get you know here. Let's see. Kikuchi. We got a Kikuchi matchup.
Kikuchi. That's automatic.
Kikuchi.
Automatic.
All right.
Jake,
if Jake's watching, Vegas money line, Miami plus 9, Kikuchi and the Blue Jays money line.
Yes,
there we go.
3 sporter. That's the way we that's the way we like to do it. But yeah, listen, we've talked a lot about this Vegas Dallas series. I think this is going to be real close. I think that it'll be back and forth. I certainly expect this to go a minimum of 6, if not 7. But I think the Vegas Golden Knights coming off that win against the Edmonton Oilers at home with a little bit of extra rest, I think they jump on Dallas tonight. And I think they really set the tone for this series. Now, I do think that Dallas will have some pushback, to use a Rick Bonusism. But I like Vegas to get things started. And to be honest, this number's gone down a little bit. We're getting a better number. I mean, it originally was about minus 123, then it was minus 120. Right now, minus 116. I know road teams keep winning all these games. Home teams are going to win at some point. I think Vegas does it tonight.
I was a little bit surprised that this number wasn't a little bit bigger. And nothing against Dallas. I just feel like Vegas probably deserves a little bit more love here, considering they've had a little bit more rest. They've looked much more consistent than Dallas so far in these playoffs, and you're going to get a really nice number here on the Golden Knights money line. I kind of originally went into this. I was like, okay, let's see where the numbers are on this. And as soon as I saw Vegas where it's at right now, because I think Dallas is like minus 101. And Vegas is minus 116. So, we'll see. I mean, there's always I don't know, does Aiden Hill keep doing against Dallas what he did against Edmonton in Game 6? There's always that significant advantage between the pipes with Ottinger as opposed to Hill. But I think you laid out a good case for Vegas here to get the jump on the Stars in Game 1, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as we're looking at minus 116, I mean, this is pretty close to a pick 'em. And as we know, I mean, home ice has meant absolutely nothing. If anything, you take the road team so far in the playoffs. But listen, I don't know. We've watched a lot of this Vegas team. They bounced the Jets. They bounced the Oilers. I think they're ready to get off to a good start in this series and avoid what happened to them a couple years against the Montreal Canadiens. So all systems go. DeBoer is going to be ready to go against his old team. Cassidy's going to have the guys fired up. It should be a good one tonight. How about this hoops game, Dusty? You're the Heat whisperer. They got the win. I don't think that they take the foot off the gas at all in this game. I mean, they are going to be looking to come back up 2-0. Listen, Boston's a really good team. They're not getting swept or anything like that.
No.
But I'll tell you what, I've got a lot of confidence that the Heat can keep this one close, and I don't mind taking the 9 points at all.
I don't know what the Miami Heat need to do to get some sort of respect in these playoffs, like a 9-point dog on the road in Game 2. Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler don't have that mindset, Huss, of, we got one. Good enough. We'll go out and get shit pumped tonight. We'll go home and have this series split. I just don't see it. When I saw this number was still sitting at 9, I was like, that's it. I'm going to be on the Heat again here. Now, I've been seeing the player props very well this week. Hit one Tuesday, hit one Wednesday with the play of the day. Yesterday I had Austin Reeves over 15.5 points. Dude's playing like 40 minutes a night. Of course he's going to go over 15.5 points. So he hit that last night as well. So I feel like part of me just wants to make the lock shot play of the day, Miami plus 9, but I feel like I also want to go perfect for the week with player props in the NBA. So I'm going to dive into that today and be watching for that a little bit later on Coolbet Socials. And we have sent our exclusive over, and we'll see what the boys say on that. They'll get on that right away.
By the way, it's Heat plus 9.5 right now.
So
we're getting the extra half point.
It's moving in our direction, buddy.
Yeah, which will be nice because we would have needed it for the exclusive to have a half point one way or the other. So at least we'll get that. And I'm just putting it in manually to Coolbet at plus 489. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get plus 5 and 525, plus 530, something like that. So keep an eye out on the exclusives a little later on for the Knights, Heat on the point spread, and my guy, Kikuchi. I never lost faith to go to 6-0 tonight.
Always been a huge Kikuchi guy. Yeah.
I had JD Bunkus on the show before it started, and I'm like, you know what? Everyone's given up on Kikuchi. And he's like, well, he was terrible last year. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, redemption season for Kikuchi. He's been unbelievable. He's got the lowest ERA right now of any J starter. Although Bassett might have passed him with he's had a couple of great starts lately.
Yeah, what's it, like 18 straight innings without giving up a run or something like that for Bassett? He's been outstanding. All right, so there you go. That's what we're on tonight. We'll watch what that number is when we get it up in the Lock Shop Partner Parlay section. Huss, what do you think of my new hat? I just got this hat this morning. It was dropped off to me this morning. What do you think?
I love it. I love it. It's very sharp. Much like, geez, I have my NFL fans of the league. I should throw that one on right now. We're just big league guys.
Huge league guy.
I love it. And training camps are here, and I am ready to rock with some CFL Futures. I'm sure we'll probably do a few more of these as there'll probably be a few more things
There'll be a few more that pop up, yeah.
Right before the start of the season. But I love win totals, and it's wild. We're actually on all three completely different teams. We
I
basically
know.
covered 66% of the league with these 6 picks.
Well, and I will say this. If you weren't on Winnipeg over 12.5, A, I would have been stunned. But B, I also would have been on that one. I mean, Winnipeg
Even
over
money?
12.5, yeah, plus money, plus 100 here at Winnipeg over 12.5. That's really good. I mean, I don't even know if you need to justify that. Ottawa and Toronto, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like there, buddy?
Well, yeah, first off for the Bombers, I mean, as I say, I'm stunned that we're getting plus money on this one, or even money at over 12.5. I mean, I think this is another 13, 14 win season. It's the Bombers season to lose. And you can already tell by listening to these guys out of training camp. I mean, they're ready to start the season right now and get on with it. This is a unfinished business tour for the blue and gold. And even though it's a short number at plus 240, I'm not sure that number is going to get, although I guess if the Bombers lose a couple at the start of the season, maybe that drops below 3 or 3.5. Anyways, Bombers looking great this year. Adding Kenny Lawler, I mean, you can make an argument that they're better than they were last year. The East to me, though, is really, really interesting. You know, in a lot of ways, basically, you've got new quarterbacks. I mean, Jeremiah Masoli did not play pretty much at all last year. And I think his return to Ottawa and Bobby Dice being the head coach is going to mean a big things for the Red Blacks. They were listen. Lapo had a rough run as head coach, but you saw at the end of the season when Bobby Dice took over how much those guys love to play for him, and he is just a great leader of men. I have no doubt that he's going to get the best out of these guys, and if Masoli can be healthy, I think that Ottawa could actually win the East. I certainly think that they've got a 500 season in them. So I love Ottawa to get to at least 9-9 and hit the over 8, which is a little juicy at minus 125. On the other side of things, I think the Argos, despite winning the Grey Cup, are in for a bit of a step back, at least for the first half of the season or so. Swag Kelly as the quarterback for the Double Blue. This guy's a great athlete. I am really not sure if he's mentally made to be the leader, the CEO of the football team, if you will. He's a bit of a goof. He's got good talent, but listen, I just think that there's going to be some real growing pains with him taking over. And to be honest, I'm not sure that he throws the ball as well or as efficiently as MBT. Certainly can run. I think there'll be listen, the DCs in this league are going to have some game plans for him. And there's going to be a real learning curve and a challenge for him to step up and be the guy. So I kind of thinking about a 9-9 season for Toronto. So I'm thinking the stock of Ottawa going up, Toronto down a little bit. Give me the Red Blacks over 8 and Toronto under 9.5, basically calling a 9-win season for the Argos at minus 110. Doesn't mean they won't be in the playoffs and doesn't mean they might not make it back to the Grey Cup. But as far as the regular season goes, I think it's going to be quite close, to be honest. And interesting, your thoughts on Hamilton, who you got the over at 10.5. I think if someone gets to 11 wins in the East, they're going to be winning that division.
Yeah, no, and I think Hamilton's certainly capable of that. I know last year was an off year for Hamilton, but let's be honest, Hamilton's been a really good team the last few years with quarterback stories. I don't even want to technically say issues, but it was like, oh, this guy's going to start, then this guy's going to start, then this guy's hurt, and then this guy's hurt. Like, there's been no consistency there. If Bo Levi Mitchell can provide the Ticats, who I think have an excellent coaching staff, if he can provide the Ticats with just consistent quarterback play, I like them to finish first in the East, and I think that's why I'm going to take them at over 10.5 wins. Now, where Bo Levi left, Calgary. I'm going to get on Calgary, and it's minus 133. It's the biggest squeeze that we've got on this board right now. But I'm getting on Calgary over 9.5, Huss. You have to go back to 2007, not including the shortened COVID season. You have to go back to 2007 to find the last time the Calgary Stampeders didn't win 10 games. Like, they find ways to win football games. And when you look at it, Winnipeg's Winnipeg. We know that in the West. I don't think the Riders are going to be better than they were last year. I mean, we'll see, but I don't think so. The Elks probably can't be worse, but how much better are they going to be? And the BC Lions, I still love all the weapons there, but let's see how they are without Rourke for a full season. So to me, I mean, Calgary's also going to drop by a few wins. That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to get on. I like Jake Maier. Jake Maier took over last year. He's steady. I don't know if he's got MOP stuff in him, but he's steady enough for Calgary to get over 9.5 wins with Dickinson still running the show there. So I'm going to on Calgary over 9.5. And then you mentioned the East. I mean, we got all 4 teams in the East covered here. And I think it's just because the East is going to be so unpredictable this year. And you're right. I mean, there are new starting quarterbacks basically everywhere compared to what we saw for the majority of last season. Yeah, Kelly Mazzoli like around, but Montreal, and I'm a big Cody Fajardo guy. He's one of the nicest guys that I've had to deal with. Like he's a gem. And they're going to have a great offensive line, unlike what the Riders brought to the table last year. But Montreal's brought in Jason Moss. They brought in Cody Fajardo. And this wasn't a recipe for success last year with the Riders. I don't know if that's just automatically going to translate to success just like that overnight with the Montreal Alouettes. So, they lost their best weapon offensively in Geno Lewis. So, I mean, if I had to predict where the East would be at right now, I'd probably go Hamilton, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, which is kind of, I think, how you would probably have it as well, unless you think Ottawa could be better than Hamilton, which I would understand. But, Montreal under 7.5, I don't think is a crazy call at -110.
No, I mean, you mentioned the loss of Geno Lewis. I mean, he was the offensive catalyst. If Stanback can stay healthy, he's, I think, the second lowest odds for the rushing title.
Kadeem Carey's at 300 and Stanback's plus 350.
350, and I won on Stanback a couple years ago. It was nice. I mean, he's a real horse, but I mean that there's going to be a lot on Cody's shoulders, to make up for, well, first of all, to get them going again. I think Trevor Harris was actually pretty serviceable for them. And by the way, speaking of Trevor Harris, it was not lost upon me that the Riders have the lowest win total on the board this year at 7 wins. Overs plus 120, and the under is plus 100, even money.
Stayed away from it. I don't know what's gonna happen there. But if you look at Montreal, I mean, they lost. Now they brought in Greg Ellingson, who still has some game left for sure. After watching him here in Edmonton, there's still some game left there. But they also lost Winicky.
He's got to stay on the field. He's got to stay on the field. I mean, that was his big problem last year in Winnipeg. And I mean, maybe they were so good they didn't need to rush him back. But I mean, he only got into 6 or 7 games. Yeah,
and they lost Winicky and Eugene Lewis. So that's a couple of big pieces to be missing. Huss, we also have some other futures we're on here. We're both on Winnipeg to win the Grey Cup at plus 240. Was there any other numbers there that kind of intrigued you a bit at all?
Well, I mean, one of the things, and you'll have to go and check this out yourself, folks, but basically for every team, you can bet there's a specific number for 0 to 3 wins, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12. We talked about the even money on the over 12.5 wins. If you like that, can I interest you in Winnipeg 13 to 15 wins at plus 250? I mean, I guess if they're able to get to 16 and go 16-2, you'll lose. But realistically, especially with potentially, even if you've got things wrapped up at the end of the season, maybe playing some backups. Listen, I think the Bombers will lose 3 games at some point and maybe 4 or 5. So this is actually one of my favorite bets on the board right now, plus 250 for Winnipeg to win between 13 and 15 regular season games. And then this kind of goes back to Ottawa, but I'm thinking I'm keen on Ottawa to have a big resurgence. And as long as Masoli can stay healthy, I think that he'll have the opportunity to put up some big numbers. And the fact that he could be the catalyst for a big turnaround, I think he gets a lot of love. To be honest, I think there's maybe some Bomber fatigue with some of these awards. People will be looking maybe for another story other than giving it to Zach Collaros again on a team that's absolutely stacked. If Ottawa does what I think that they will do, it'll be on the back of a big season from Masoli. And I think he'll get the love. And at 7 to 1, considering he's the fourth. I mean, he's behind Zach Collaros, behind Bo Levi, behind Jake Mayer. I think that things sort of set up that there's value at 7-1 on Masoli, because I like him to have a great season. I think if he does that, considering where Ottawa was last year, I think that he'll have some momentum when it comes to maybe giving the MOP award to someone not wearing blue and gold.
I wonder what the narrative would be like if Bo Levi has a good season in Hamilton at 6-1. Like you mentioned, like Winnipeg. Yeah. I think I'd rather take Bo Levi at 6-1 than Zach at plus 240 or whatever the number is, right? Like I just, from a value perspective, that might be a little bit of a smarter. Was he plus 350? Okay,
as I say, there is Bomber fatigue. Like he'll have to be so much better and beyond. And to be honest, the way the Bombers win games at times, I mean, they don't need to lean on Zach to go crazy. Although with the receiving core that he has, we might be talking about. I was looking at those passing numbers and I had a tough time thinking about, who's in a situation where they have to pass a lot. I mean, I could see the Bombers putting in Brady Oliveira, backup running backs in the second half and not really needing to throw that much. And that might hurt his chances as well. But those quarterbacks
with that receiving core, though, I mean, you'd be gunning that out there. That's gonna be a sick group again, man. Like, yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see. It should be. I can't wait for the season to get started. The other two that I'm with you on Winnipeg plus 240 to win the Grey Cup. I guess give this a vote of confidence for the home team here in Edmonton. The Elks 7-9 wins, which would be a pretty big improvement over what we saw last year. But when you add Geno Lewis and Stephen Dunbar and Kyron Moore and Dylan Mitchell can play in a full season of Kevin Brown at running back. And we had Taylor Cornelius on my show yesterday, and he said he went and spent some time in Vancouver with Nathan Rourke's quarterback coach, and he learned a few things there. And now it was funny. I said, what was the summer like seeing them at all these guys? And he said, well, Chris Jones phoned me at one point. I was like, what do you think? Like, do you think we should do this? And he's like, yes. I think we should get Dunbar and Geno Lewis. Like, that would be a great idea. So I don't know. I'm a believer in Cornelius. 7-9 wins, like I said, with Saskatchewan, and they opened here at home against Saskatchewan. That should be a very interesting game. I look forward to calling that one.
That's the home win.
That's the home win. That's the one. That's the one, I think. And then Hamilton, I said I like them to win the East, but I think 12 wins might be that cap. So I like 10 to 12 wins for the Ticats here at plus 150 as well, buddy.
Listen, I'm very interested to see what the Hamilton Tiger Cats look like. And I guess this goes back to Bo Levi. Calgary has a pretty good record of moving on from guys when it's time. But that being said, Bo Levi is going to play with a Andrew Harris-sized chip on his shoulder, moving out to hammer. Knowing the CFL schedule, do they even go to Calgary this year?
Actually, they don't. It was a major buzzkill.
What?
The Ticats aren't in Calgary this year. They're in Winnipeg week 1, and I'll be there to call that one, which is going to be exciting.
It is so strange, and this happens all the time in the Canadian Football League, and I do not understand why. It's the exact opposite of, like, the NFL would have Hamilton and Calgary in week 1 in prime time, and the CFL, sometimes we just miss that. I mean, Lapo, after all his great time in Winnipeg, when he went to Ottawa, never came here as a head coach. I mean, it just in the first season, of course. So it'd be nice if they could tweak that schedule a little bit and
give us a little flex schedule or something.
People like,
yeah.
But anyways, I mean, we'll probably get more. I stayed away from. I mean, the rushing yards, Kadeem Carey, I think is a pretty solid bet. I do like Stanback. But
if Stanback stays healthy, he could very well win that for sure.
For sure. He did the other 2 years ago. He beat out Harris for it, and then James Butler. Those are the kind of the three favorites right there. And then hey, West Division winner. If you want I assume this is for the regular season. Plus 110 on Bombers might be the freest money on the board. Ottawa 3-1. To win the East. I don't mind that at all. Well, as I say, I'm a little less high on the Ticats and Bo, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if he comes up and has a monster year. To me, Ottawa and Hamilton are going to be the two teams there. And listen, Toronto, I'm sure, will somehow find a way to be in the mix at the end. And if we can get a prop on the Alouettes missing the playoffs, jump on that right away, because I think it's going to be a long season in Montreal.
I have a long shot sprinkle for the MOP as well. Guys, I think he's like 23-1. There's another quarterback on his own team who's higher right now, but I'm gonna have a little bit on Vernon Adams Jr. He's got the weapons in BC. He's always had the game that would make you think, my God, like this guy should be able to play very well in the Canadian Football League. And if it can all come together for him in BC, I think it's worth 23-1. I think Dane Evans has better odds right now, and Vernon Adams Jr. should be the start.
Dane Evans is 23 and Adams is 21.
Okay, it's flipped then, because 2 days ago it was the other way, so that does make more sense. But still, that's like, you know what I'm saying with Vernon Adams, right? He's jumping over guys, like he's got all the athleticism to put together a really good season. It just hasn't necessarily come together. But considering, I know they lost Burnham, but they got Keon Hatcher, they got Rhymes, they got Lucky Whitehead. Like, that's a really good football team, man. I don't know. I think it's worth a long shot play there.
Well, no, I like it as well. I mean, speaking of value plays, I mean, you have to look at scenarios. And listen, obviously, if you're going to be the MOP, your team's going to have a good year. They certainly have the talent there. And it goes back to the narratives as well. I think everyone expects BC, maybe not to fall off a cliff, but to take a significant step back because they don't have Nathan Rourke anymore. And I'll tell you what, if Vernon Adams can play even close to that level and bottom line, win the football games that BC did with Nathan Rourke, I think there will be a lot of eyes open to what he will be. And as I say, with the Bomber fatigue and some of these other, I think voters will be looking for a story and looking for somebody else to vote for this year. My guy is Masoli in the East, but Vernon Adams with a strong season could absolutely be in the mix. And as I say, it's not like he's going to a terrible football team. There is a hell of a lot of weapons there at his disposal.
Well, exactly. And he got to play like half the year with them last year, right? So it's not coming in fresh. So anyway, like I said, there will be more odds that pop up as we work our way towards week 1 of the season in June. But we did want to get to those. We've been waiting a while to get to those as well. Watch for the Lock Shot play of the day coming out on the Cool Bet socials a little bit earlier on. Jake's working on our partner parlay, Vegas money line, Heat +9, and Jay's money line. We'll tweet that out when that exclusive is ready to go as well, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be 9.5, which will be good. And then just straight up wins for the Vegas Golden Knights and the Jays led by Kikuchi. If you do want to just jump on the Jays, I do like that as a standalone wager as well. -154 is the money line right now. They've been good on Fridays, starting off series. We saw them end Tampa's 13-game winning streak to start the year. I think they get this long weekend off to a great start with a nice win tonight, led by the ace, Kikuchi.
Before we wrap, just quickly, DeChambeau leads the PGA Championship at 4 under. Scotty Scheffler, Corey Connors at 3 under. All three of those guys yet to tee off. Haas, any thoughts on that heading into the weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what. My guy Tony Finau had a tough last few holes. He's at 5 over. He will be playing the weekend. But, man, he was 6 over at the turn yesterday and then went nuclear on the back 9, 4 under. This course is so hard, man. This does not feel like a U.S. Open as opposed to a PGA Championship.
Sanjay is 13 over through 2 rounds.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, did you see Tom Kim fall into the mud bog yesterday?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
I missed it. I didn't see it. I was all focused on the Lakers last night.
Just put in Tom Kim. He was looking for his ball and then basically fell into a mud bog and then had to go into another creek to basically take a bath on the 6th hole. And then afterwards, if you go to my Twitter, I've tweeted it out. He did an interview once he got back to the clubhouse after he'd gone viral. And it honestly might be a top 10 sports interview of all time. This interview is one of the funniest things I have ever heard. He is the best. I am Team Tony for life, but I'm also Team Tom Kim. Those are my 2 guys. And if you don't like Tom Kim after watching this interview that he had today, you got to check your pulse because it was... I mean, honestly, one of the funniest things I've ever seen in golf. And then the interview that he had afterwards was maybe funnier than the act itself of going into the mud bog.
Important to be a good sport. Important to be a good sport about all of it, us. It's a major championship, right?
Absolute beauty.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be good. By the way, shout out to our cool bet guy, Taylor Pendrith.
Yeah, he's having himself a tourney.
Well, and he's in. He went 1 under today, which is huge. I mean, this course is playing so tough right now. He's moved up 9 spots. He's tied for 8th. And we'll see what happens with the guys that still have to play in the afternoon if they can stay above him. Wouldn't it all be surprised if Taylor Pendrith is in one of the final few groups when we get to Sunday's action tomorrow for round 3 on moving day? But great day for our cool bet guy, Pendy.
I keep saying we're going to wrap, but I just went and clicked on the exclusives page. Our exclusive isn't up yet, but I clicked on it. There's 5 NBA daily exclusives, 4 Blue Jays exclusives. I love this one. This is if you believe in the Heat to pull off a Game 2 upset. Jimmy Butler to record 30-plus points, Miami Heat to win, plus 660. So, I mean, if the Heat are going to win, Butler's probably going to go off for 30-plus. It's a long, but plus 660 is a really nice number on that. So, anyway, there's a bunch of exclusives up. You can go visit.
I mean, just straight up, you want to just go with the points, plus 340 on a Heat win right now. And as we mentioned, we are riding with the Heat plus 9.5, not necessarily to win, but that'll be up in the exclusives a little bit later on the SAF. Check it out.
Have a good weekend, buddy. We'll probably chat on Tuesday. Long weekend. We'll probably catch up on Tuesday, man.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend, everyone. Good luck.